Today's video is going to be completely different. It's not like any other one. Well, it's like one other one. But I'm not going to be doing my makeup today. I basically wanted to come on here and just kind of give you guys an update on what life is like after my miscarriage. Today, when I'm filming this, is actually November 7th, so 2 days ago would have been my due date. And it's been pretty rough. I'm doing a lot better now that the day has passed, but the days leading up to it were pretty rough. I kind of just wanted to talk to you guys about kind of what I'm going through and how I'm trying to deal with it and how I'm going to try and deal with it in the future. As you can see, I poured myself a glass of wine. I have my tissues here in case I need them. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into it because that's what's gotta happen. So basically, I'm just going to talk to you guys about kind of how I'm feeling. And because I'm coping way differently than some people, and some people I feel like are, I don't want to say judging me, but I feel like they are judging me on how long it's taking me. I was 5 months pregnant when we found out that there was no heartbeat. And I didn't mention this in the specific video, but when I went in for the ultrasound and the ultrasound tech was trying to find like the specific measurements, you know, she's going through with the little wand and she started to like pat on my stomach trying to get the baby to move, and she just kind of flopped. I just saw her body kind of just, and you know, it gave me I was like, whoa, like I've never seen that. You know, normally there's a reaction. And so once she said, okay, I'm gonna go get the midwife, I knew that there was something wrong. And I'm telling you that until you hear the words, I'm sorry, but there's no heartbeat, you will never know the pain that runs through your body. You will never understand it. We mentioned how we had to go into labor and delivery, and you know, to kind of just see how the room was set up, how, you know, there's like that small little plastic bed that's, you know, meant for your perfect healthy little baby, and to know that she wasn't gonna get that. We weren't there for that. And you know, even when we checked in and I said, I'm here to be induced, and they looked at me and they're like, you're here to be induced? You know, because I obviously didn't look like I was supposed to be there. I wasn't meant to be there that early. And I took 2 weeks off of work after everything happened. You know, I went in on a Monday for my ultrasound, didn't go back until the Monday, I believe, after the 4th of July. And even then I don't think I was fully ready to go back anyway, but I had to do it. You know, we held her. We held the baby because, in my opinion, I needed that. I needed that specific closure. I needed her to know that she mattered to me. You know, feeling her little body, you know, she had 10 little fingers and 10 little toes. She was perfect. She had eyes, 2 perfect little ears, you know, she had everything. She just wasn't ready. I can't really express to you guys what happened. Like, I can't really express to you guys the fact that I wanted her. Like, everybody keeps saying, you know, it's either a blessing in disguise because maybe there would have been, you know, maybe she would have had a disability or something, or, oh, you can have another one. Okay, but I still wanted this baby. It doesn't matter if I can have another one or if I have one. I still wanted this baby. I was still excited about this baby. We had so many plans. And so I do hope that you guys understand this, and I hope that you guys watch this, and if you guys have somebody in your life who goes through this, please don't say, oh, at least you, like, you know, at least you have how X amount of children. Oh, you can try again. Don't say that to them, because those words do not help. I don't know how many times I've had to say, your words are not helping me. Telling me that I can have another one does not help me, because it does not bring back my deceased child. That's just what it is. We heard a heartbeat. She was real. She existed. I had to deliver her. It was all the same. How I cope, I use different methods. I cry. I cry a lot. I talk to my friends, because my friends have seemingly been more supportive than anybody has other than Bill. You know, they don't necessarily know what I'm going through, but they're there to hug me when I'm crying and listen to me when I'm crying, and they're there to kind of help me in the process. I wear my necklace, which some people find it strange, but this is an urn, so to speak. You know, some of her ashes are in here, and some people find it weird. I personally find it comforting. It's just a way of grieving. That's just how it is. But having this necklace, and on the front of it, it says her name, and on the back of it, it says Angel Baby with the date of her birth. I find it to be comforting to know that she's there with me. I look at her pictures, and I look at her pictures a lot. For Mother's Day, Bill subscribed to a pregnancy subscription box, and I believe I received 2 of them before everything happened. It actually came with a picture frame that said Love at First Sight, and I put her ultrasound picture in there and have it with the little memorial section, the little tribute area that we have for her. I'll insert a picture at the end of this video. But I look at her pictures, and I look at the pictures of when we were in the hospital, and I look at how happy I was when we were taking, you know, the progression pictures and things, and I think about how happy she made me. I haven't been able to look at the pictures from our gender reveal, because those were basically the last moments that we were excited and happy, and that we were, you know, expecting. We have a little teddy bear that is also an urn that I have it sitting on my bedside table. I'll also insert a picture of it at the end of this video. And I give it a little kiss on the nose, or I hold it. I talk to her a lot. Just, you know, just to let her know what's going through my head, or how work was, how it stressed me out. I write her letters. I just wrote her the first letter I wrote a couple weeks ago, and I cried during the entire thing, but it was well worth it, and it needed to happen, and it actually made me feel better, a lot better that day. And it made me feel actually so much better that day. So writing will probably help me the most. I initially started reading this Loved Baby, which Bill's family, all of his cousins and his aunt, pitched in and got me this book. It's just a devotional. It's 31 devotions helping you grieve and cherish your child after pregnancy loss. And I originally was reading this, and I got through a few pages, and then our pup passed away, and I seemingly got very angry with God, and because I was like, he took my baby and he took my pup, like, we're not talking right now, which I'm grateful, and I know that he'll forgive me one day for saying things like that, but for now I'll link it down below. But I put a pause on reading this book for now, and I actually started reading this one here, and it's called Sapphire Tears, and this is actually written by one of my sister's ex-coworkers' best friends. And this book here has been the most relatable book I have ever read, and I've cried more times, and I've actually read a few portions of this book to Bill so that he can understand, because even he has a hard time understanding why I'm grieving as much as I am, what thoughts are running through my head. And why it's so different for the two of us. The author of this book actually suffered from 2 miscarriages, one around, I believe she said 7 or 8 weeks, and the other one was at 18 weeks, I believe. And her 18-week miscarriage has been the majority of what is in here so far, and it's about her 2 miscarriages and then pregnancy after miscarriage. And I haven't gotten very far. I think I'm only on like the 60th, around 60 pages. Yeah, I'm on page 57. But it is so relatable, and I've actually gotten a lot of comfort reading this book to just know that it's happened to other people and I'm not alone. And I'm actually friends with her on Facebook now, so I actually reach out to her on occasion and will talk to her about things. But yeah, so this book definitely, I'll try and see if I can't find it. I'll link it down below, but she even mentioned that she didn't write this book for it to be a world-renowned novel kind of thing. She wrote it for the comfort of somebody else going through the pain that she also went through. I can't tell you how grateful I am for this book, because this book really tells me, like, I'm not alone. Hearing the stories, Casey Holmes here on YouTube, I'll link her channel down below along with the video that she posted. She actually just went through a miscarriage at 14 weeks, and that made me think, like, oh, well, I'm not alone, you know, it happens to anybody. And then Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, they just went through the same thing at the same time. Their baby, their little boy, was the same progression as Evelyn was, and it you know, it lets you know, because you almost think of celebrities as these invincible people. You know, you look up to them and you think they're like on like the highest level possible, and then you hear stories about them having problems and them going through tragedies, and then you realize, oh, well, they're just people. They're just human beings just like you and me. I'd like to make a quick notion and a quick PSA, I guess you could say. I am not saying under any circumstances that every miscarriage is, like, every single miscarriage is sad. Whether you're at 4 weeks or full term, period. Every single one of them is sad. However, my situation is completely different than a lot of people. My midwife says that these don't occur very often, you know, especially not in the 2nd trimester. And I asked her many, many times if there was something that I did wrong. She said no. Is that accurate? I honestly couldn't tell you. They say don't blame yourself, it's nothing that you could have done. But deep down, I think every mom probably thinks of all the what ifs, you know. And, oh, I should have done this. What if I did that? It's all relevant. It all happens. But not every miscarriage is the same, just like not every pregnancy is the same. So just telling somebody else who's had a miscarriage, oh, reach out to them. They don't, not even the people who've experienced miscarriages understand what I'm going through. And so I just want to point that out, that, you know, you can say, oh, reach out to so-and-so, they just suffered a miscarriage. But even then, not every miscarriage is the same. I'm a receiver at a grocery store. I mentioned that a while back. And one of the vendors from Pepsi, he and his fiance were actually pregnant. He actually told me 1 month after I had mine, and it tore me apart. You know, I looked at my best friend and I said, why can everybody else have babies? I looked at her and I asked her why everybody else could have babies, and I know it ripped her apart. And not too long ago, he actually told me that they suffered a miscarriage. You know, he said it was different for them. His wife was going through it pretty hard, but that, you know, they weren't even far enough along to know what the gender was. Not that it's not sad, but, you know, we had a name picked out. We had all of these plans already set in place. And so I don't even know where I'm going with this. It's just, I feel like I just need to get these thoughts out, because they're all just sitting inside of my head and they're not going anywhere. And I know talking to somebody would probably be better, but right now talking to you guys seems the most comforting, I guess. Probably because nobody's gonna judge me back and talk to me back. But I just want to point out that even though somebody else has had a miscarriage, every miscarriage is sad, yes, but somebody who went through a miscarriage, say at even 14 weeks, compared to mine at 20, is completely different. It just is. Most of the time, at 14 weeks, you don't have to go through labor and delivery. That's just, it is what it is. But I'm at the point where, this is going to sound very selfish, but I basically had to go through all of the sucky parts of pregnancy, which is labor and delivery, which we all know is the hardest part, other than, you know, the parenting portion. And I had to go through all of that pain and have no baby. So now I'm not only going through the postpartum depression hormones, but I'm also going through grieving hormones. So I'm trying to make it as understanding as possible, because some people are almost judging me because it's been here 3.5 months and I'm still down in the dumps. And I just kind of wish that, you know, people understood. I know not everybody grieves the same, but I just wish that people would just understand and stop judging me. And on a brighter note, one of the best ways that we celebrated our sweet little Evelyn was on my due date. We had some friends over, which were my 3 friends from work. Maya, Bill was there, and we just kind of hung out and we talked and celebrated, and we just had a fun girls' day planned, and it was just amazing. It was the best day that I could have ever asked for. Maya and Bill went to I think, feed her dogs, and they also went to grab pizza. We talked about everything, and and I was talking about the future and how, because everybody continuously asks when Bill and I are going to try again. And I keep saying not in 2020. They're like, why? And I just wish, it's part of the understanding the grief, but if you could understand the amount of pain that I was in, you would know why 2020 was so shitty. My family doesn't even understand why I'm hurting so bad. Or maybe they do, and their way of coping with it is just to not talk about it. I don't know. But to me, it feels as though she's been forgotten, and that hurts me probably more than thinking of losing her. I don't know. I had mentioned to my friends that, that I felt that people were judging me for, it's 3.5 months later and I'm still in as much pain as I'm in. And I'm at the point where, again, selfishly, I should have been in the clear. At 20 weeks, I should have been in the clear, it was the home stretch kind of thing. And, and then to hear the tragic words of, I'm sorry, but there's no heartbeat on the ultrasound. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and and it just kind of was like an explosion happened right in front of me, and my world stopped and everybody else's world kept going. They just say, oh, well, you can have another one. Yeah, but the next one I'm going to be living in fear now almost. And I'm fearful that it will happen again. So I almost don't even want to get excited about getting pregnant again. And how awful does that sound? It sounds so awful in my head, because I just think to myself, even after 20 weeks, it can still happen at this point. And then my best friend, she said, you know what? She said, I think you think that there needs to be a timeline of grief, and that you can only have this much time before, you don't grieve anymore, before you're not supposed to grieve anymore. And she said, there isn't a timeline. She said, it's however long it takes you. She said, and you really need to understand that, and you really need to know that. And of course I cried, and she's crying, and we're all crying at this point. But I don't know, I feel like people are just judging me for grieving the way that I am. And I feel like, I would just like you to just try and put yourself in somebody else's shoes that's going through something like this. Or maybe, you know what? If you're not grieving, and if you're not, like, the phrase time heals all wounds, like, I don't know who lied to anybody, because it's not helping. Matter of fact, it's probably gotten harder as more time goes on. Think about, like, if you have kids, if you're fortunate enough to have kids, and you are fortunate enough to not know what it's like to go through something like this, like, consider yourself very lucky to not ever have to feel this type of grief. Because I promise you, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. I'm praying that it's the hardest thing I will ever have to go through, because this sucks. It is the suckiest thing that's ever happened. 2020 is the shittiest year I have ever experienced in my whole life. I was struck with excitement and happiness in thinking that I was going to be a mom all over again. And I was nervous, and I was talking to my sister about, oh my God, you were asking me for advice with your first one because I had already had my son. And now I'm gonna have to ask you because here he is 6 years old and I'm gonna be a mom all over again. I'm gonna be like a brand new mom almost. And then tragedy struck, and it's like, you know, I felt very alone when all of this happened. Anyway, I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but one thing that did bring me comfort was the fact that one of the girls who came on the 5th she sent me this TikTok video, and it was a girl who basically said that every pregnancy, through every pregnancy, your baby changes your DNA because, you know, there's new blood, there's new DNA in your body, right? Meaning your child, and your blood runs through them. So it, you know, like changes your DNA like minorly. So she was talking about how it brought her comfort because she had miscarried, and, you know, and it always seemed that just because her children weren't physically here, so it seems as if they didn't exist, you know, it brought her some comfort knowing that her DNA changed and she carries her children with her through her DNA. And that brought me so much comfort because I do struggle with that. I do struggle with the fact that I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, you just, you know, you had a miscarriage, it happens all the time, you know, kind of get over it seemingly. And, you know, my baby did exist. She's not here physically anymore. Like she's not here, but, you know, she existed. Like I held her in my hands. There's no possible way that you could ever say get over it, because I'm always going to remember her. I'm never going to forget, but I understand that I need to move forward. But I just wish that everybody would understand that moving forward takes time. It has only been, you know, not even 4 months. My due date just passed. Everybody who was due around the same time, like they're still going to have their babies. That's where it's that's where it's so hard for me, is that, you know, I was pregnant at the same time as my sister. We were going to have kids 3 months apart, and tragedy struck 2 months before my niece was born. And, you know, and then there's other people who, you know, were due around the same time as me, and they're posting their pictures, and, you know, there's a bunch of other people who are posting pregnancy videos and pregnancy announcements and stuff, and it's like, it just makes me sad to think, like, why are you having so much luck and I'm over here like stuck in the dumps almost? Anyway, I really just needed to get all of that off my chest, you guys. I feel a lot better talking about it. So anyway, that will complete today's video. I know it was a sad one. I know it was different and probably hard to watch, but I'm gonna get through this, I promise. But yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.